Marcus, how are you doing this evening?
I'm all right. How are you, madam?
Oh, I had a little bit of sleep. I'm okay. I'm gonna get some more tonight though. I'm gonna get my full in.
Last night
Um,
wore everybody out.
Last night wore everybody out. So as I mentioned, Marcus is the former director of African American outreach for the Bernie Sanders campaign. And Marcus is also a co-founder of Impact Us. And so what were your thoughts last night? Like watching the returns come in. Like did you even have an idea this was even going this way?
Um, my thoughts from last night were I knew early it was going to be ugly. I had a funny feeling that it was going to it might not swing Hillary's way, but I mean, you can't help but listen to mainstream media and all these I've been in politics for a few years now, so all of these folks that I used to listen to when it came down to their polling and when it came down to Hillary's going to win and what state's going this direction and what state's going that direction. I started believing these folks, and quite ironically, one of my Republican friends posted on his timeline on Facebook the exact turnout for what was going to happen for the rest of the night, and he was correct on every single state. So how did I feel about it as it wore on? I actually I hate to be like this, but I think the chickens came home to roost.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I think about last night's election. I think the chickens came home to roost. I think it was the beginning, if not the nail in the coffin, definitely the beginning of the end of the establishment Democratic Party. If they don't realize at this point now that they just need to clean house and bring in people who have nothing to do with Washington D.C. in general, then they're making a serious mistake. I think Donald Trump is not the scariest human being on the planet. Also, I mean, I'm African American. We went through years of turbulence. Our people have went through years of suffering, and I just have a funny feeling that systematic racism was not going to end if Hillary Clinton got elected, and I have a funny feeling that Black folks aren't going into slavery if Donald Trump gets elected. So it was a surprise, but it was also telling that the rich guy was the populace in comparison to the Democratic candidate who was the establishment, and she ran her campaign like that, and that's
yes, exactly.
Yeah. So if you have an opportunity, we had an opportunity to elect our first woman president last night, but I think what gets away from everyone also is that there was two women in the race, and the whole conversation and the whole thought process behind this whole, well, the third parties took it away from Hillary. Well, that's not necessarily true, because if you add up the votes for Stein and Johnson, Hillary still wouldn't have came away with that.
And she lost Florida outright. Like, yes. Even when you took the Stein vote, Stein had like 60,000. I think Hillary lost by like 130, 140,000. Even if you added in the Stein votes, like she lost. She lost Florida. She didn't even set foot in Wisconsin. I mean, you've done field campaigns and stuff. Like what does that even say? That you expected to win a state and you didn't even go there at all.
Well, what it says is you're assuming, and it's a very flawed thought process that you assume that, or you expect that you get a vote. But there was a lot of assumptions made during that campaign in general. Let's start with the first assumption. Everybody Black's going to show up for me. That was the main assumption, right? Like, we're going to get the Black vote. All we need to do is roll out this Jay-Z concert or have Angela Bassett running around South Florida, which is very cool. Look, as a campaigner, I would have been very happy to kick it with Jay-Z and Angela Bassett and this, that, and the other. But the difference is, you don't want pandering, you want policy. The Black community wanted policy. We didn't necessarily want pandering. And I believe that's exactly what happened. I believe that they were rolling out celebrities who weren't talking about issues that were affecting, the Black community. Therefore, they didn't respond well. They just rolled out sort of a song and dance. And I hate to be like this, but they didn't even spend enough time during the Jay-Z concert to say why that these folks should vote for Hillary Clinton. So she didn't go to Wisconsin. She expected to win there. She just I guess what the campaign thought was they've done a well enough job to discredit Donald Trump in every way that no human being in their right mind will vote for him. And I mean, she lost the white woman vote. She lost the black woman. I mean, she lost the white man vote. She lost the white woman votes. And there was supposed to be this whole thing about pantsuit nation, quote unquote, with 2 million followers. I guess they just didn't show up to the polls, or it's a very questionable thing how she lost the white woman vote. She lost her own constituency.
She lost her own constituency. She lost the women who we were told were, I mean, they're the bannermen of the American dream, right? I mean, we got told all through, and you know this very well, having worked on Bernie's campaign, that Bernie supporters were all white. They hated women.
Right. They all hated women, and you had to be an elitist to support Bernie. That was the thing. Mm-hmm. And then, they were all Bernie bros, which was completely made up. And I remember the moment that it was made up. But here's the funny part about it. That same media that worked so well for Hillary Clinton and discrediting Bernie Sanders early off is the same media that turned against Trump, but yet made him famous and made him our president. Right. So fundamentally, you have these issues where, when you're running a campaign and when you're in the fight, that free earned media means a lot. And Hillary got it. She didn't have to necessarily spend as much money as Bernie necessarily had to spend. But it's the irony of the whole thing is how she got her behind handed to her from a candidate that every single major media market pretty much was against. And if you notice the trend, the alt left, the news organizations that weren't necessarily primetime organizations, they spent a lot of time criticizing her. But it was valid criticism because she got criticism because she was expected to win. And she got criticism because we all thought that Donald Trump is nuts. There's no way he can win. And I guess we just found out the hard way.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think about? There was clearly a divided strategy, right? Like there were those who, and you did not appear to be among them, but there were those who, after Bernie kind of closed up shop on his campaign, kind of went over into the fold, either with auxiliary groups that were pushing Hillary Clinton or into the Clinton campaign themselves, versus those who stayed on the outside and criticized. I mean, was there a middle ground? Was there something that could have been done to avoid, President Trump?
Well, okay, so let me just give you a little background. When I got off of the Bernie Sanders campaign, I was being courted and was actively getting courted by the Hillary Clinton campaign. But in order for me to work for Hillary Clinton, I wanted a lot of money, right? I mean, it just is what it is. And I was still close to helping them out. But what happened was the first WikiLeaks happened right before the DNC. And that just completely changed my mind about working for the campaign. When you started seeing the inner workings of what happened. So that's the reason why I personally didn't go over to that side of the house. Was there a way for Donald Trump to not win? Yeah. I think this was a very simple thing that the Hillary Clinton campaign could have done. Number one, they should have owned up to the WikiLeaks.
Right.
They made the correct. It looked like they were headed down the right road during the DNC. Firing Debbie Wasserman Schultz, getting rid of a few staffers that they had an issue with. But then after that, they started toting the line of, well, the Russians are trying to affect the election. Now, instead of doing that, they should have been like, okay, American people, that was a horrible thing. This won't happen again. There's probably going to be a lot more stuff that comes out because that's just the nature of the beast. We apologize and we need to get better cybersecurity. I mean, because if you can't hold your emails as a party, what makes me think that you can hold our secrets as the president? So it was a very simple thing for them to do. The next thing they could have done is done a little bit more organic outreach and gave us a pro-Hillary story instead of an anti-Trump rhetoric. In order to get those Haitians that, and by the way, the Haitian brothers and sisters in Florida, they are not feeling Hillary Clinton. I mean, the Clinton Foundation has done so much damage to them. Listen, if the Haitian vote had turned out for Hillary Clinton, she would have won Florida. She would have won Florida. There's no doubt in my mind she would have won Florida. But they sat at home, or either they voted for Trump. That might be where Trump got his high percentage of African Americans from.
I was wondering. I mean, I just got to stop you and answer that. 8%. They're saying it was 8%, 30%. I think they said 30% Latino. I saw, but 8% of us. 30% Latino was high to me too. But that must be all those people like the Ted Cruz Cubans. I'm guessing. But the 8% of us, that was because they swore they were 0%, like nobody ever. But Trump kept pulling out all these different black people and stuff. I was just like, what is going on? It's a product of the media, and it's a product of the anti-Hillary hatred that she just couldn't get over. I mean, the whole neoliberal 1990s strong on crime thought process that still sits with a lot of black people. And Donald Trump, you know, we know it. I guess some of these folks knew what Hillary Clinton was about, and they were willing to see what Donald Trump could be about. So yeah, the neoliberal center Democratic Party, they had a hard time kind of maintaining these folks. But back to Haiti, you know, she could have just said, well, this is my plan for Haiti. Here's how we make amends for the mistakes that we did. She did not address, and this is a typical sort of insider DNC thought process. They do not address when they mess up. They do not know how to apologize. They do not. They are unremorseful whatsoever. They do not know how to tell the truth, and they do not know how to be responsible to anybody besides money. And the American populace noticed that, and until they are able to fix those things and have a little bit of integrity at the top, maybe some leaders that will actually be fair. I'm very interested in the 2020 race, like 2 years from now, how they're gonna go about getting their next candidate, who's gonna be the next DNC chair. Does this person have some freaking integrity, right? Like that's where we need to be. Right. Trump never had a chance to. Trump had an easier path to victory because of the practical actions, the impractical actions of the DNC. Very well put. So just thinking about moving forward, right? Looking towards 2017, because there are special elections and mayoral races. You know, what are some of the lessons we're looking at kind of going forward, and give us a little bit of rundown of impact. Right.
So what we're doing is we've started Impact, and that's a member political advocacy and campaign teams. We have a pretty diverse board brought together by Dr. Cornel West, Senator Nina Turner, and our friend Killer Mike, and a few other folks that are helping us out. We plan on doing, and I don't want to say this the wrong way because Nina Turner always gets mad when I bring this up. We are doing off year.
Yeah, she got on me too.
Right. We are doing.
She said there is no off year. We're always on.
Yeah. So we're doing every year organizing in communities of color across the nation. Just basically focusing on door-to-door outreach on issues from a local level. When no one else is trying to do outreach, we will be at your door doing the outreach, creating new organizers. So starting January 1st, instead of no one reaching out to you about the issues that you care about, let's say a kid gets shot and you're worried about police accountability. Well, we're not necessarily the organization that is doing the protesting. What we're the organization that is teaching that same neighborhood about, okay, who is the current elected official in this neighborhood? What laws are on the books in this neighborhood that allows this police officer to either get away? How can we hold this person accountable? If this elected official doesn't create a law that forces body cameras on police officers, then if you don't do what we ask you to do, then we go into another phase where we're going to vote you out. We're actually going to have our organizers going door to door with cell phones in their hands, calling up their elected officials, creating new organizers right there on the spot on a nationwide scale. We're going to start with 3 states, and then we're going to eventually move up to 12 states. And hopefully, if everything works out, we'll be at all 50 states by the end of a 2-year cycle.
So why do you, because obviously you've been paying attention, and especially with so many former staffers from the campaign, starting this new thing. What is it about impact that is needed, not just in this cycle, coming out of this cycle, but just going forward, just long term as we talk about progressive politics?
Well, I'm going to say like this right here from my experience on the campaign. I believe Bernie Sanders lost because he didn't have a good enough outreach to people of color, point blank. Right. So what has happened is the organizations that have spawned from Bernie Sanders' campaign have sort of been, they're leaning towards the same kind of model. And this is not a bad thing. They're giving, they're raising money for candidates. They're trying to get a brand new Congress. They're trying to get more congressional seats elected. But when it comes down to our outreach to our communities, we are trying to make our organization is going to be a Black voice for progressive thought. That's why we have the leadership that we do have on our advisory board. We want to be the part of the Bernie Sanders campaign that actually reaches out to people of color on the different cycles. In comparison to the sort of, we don't need another DFA. I'm not knocking anybody, but I just don't think we need another DFA. I think that as soon as progressives across the board start realizing that they need to, that the African American and Latino issues are the most important and the first progressive issues across the nation, when they start realizing that, then you'll start seeing more results. You will not have a progressive Congress. You will not have a progressive president. You will not have a progressive Senate or House without African Americans. I think the progressive world needs to understand that. And there's a certain way to do outreach to them. And if you don't know how to do the outreach, then guess what? We will do it ourselves. And that's what impact is.
All right, then. So just like as we're wrapping up, because I'm getting ready to wrap up now in time for Ben to come on. But this is definitely a conversation I want to continue having with you. And whatever members of the team and stuff, the actual team and other people doing work. Just as we continue having these conversations, just in thinking like in the next couple of days and weeks ahead, what do you think what should people be doing? Like, in your opinion, just from your experience, this is uncharted territory, I guess, in some ways.
It is. This is brand new. Breathe first. Breathe. Take some time.
Breathe. Yes, definitely.
Take some time to yourself and think about what's important. Secondly, we know what Donald Trump is going to try to do. In some ways, we know what he's going to do. In some ways, we don't know what he's going to do. But there's some basic issues that we already know. His vice president Pence is going to try to allow cops to run rampant across our neighborhoods. So we need to start. We need to start looking at current laws that actively affect our Black kids in our neighborhoods. We need to start looking at and just identifying what the laws are right now and who the elected officials are. And then you need to sign up to Impact. You need to go to our Facebook page. That's Impact Impact America, and check us out on Twitter and sign up. And we will help you organize exactly what you want to do from here on. But our organization is local first. So we're not going to tell you how to organize. We're not going to tell you what you need to organize around. We're going to get it from you and give you the tools that you need to make sure that the issues that are important to you are taken care of in an organic basis. And we're going to do this year round. When other folks are not reaching out to you or just want to talk to you for your vote, we're going to be a part of your mainstay. We want to be a part of your family on a consistent basis. So right now, you just need to breathe. Next, you need to get ready for a fight because we're in for 4 years of it.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Just definitely everyone go check out Impact on Twitter, Impact Us, and then on Impact with an MPACT Us, and then it's Impact America on Facebook. I'll share the link in our discussion group as well. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me. Like I said, I know you mad busy. But we can definitely continue these conversations, because I think that's one of the things, and that's one of the things that Ben and myself and others have tried to do is have these conversations. So what were we going to do beyond the election? Because even when, being pro Bernie and stuff during the cycle, there was always the understanding of who we were up against. We were up against the most formidable political machine, which got taken down by Donald Trump.
They got punched in the face.
I mean, like, hubris is a mother. So
right.
So I think, like, impact is something. Like I said, there's so many different cycles, and it's one question I would have for you. Like, we talk about Black progressive spaces and the need for Black voices and stuff, but are we just Black only, or do we work with allies too?
Yeah, of course we're going to work with allies, and that is, that's a natural progression of things. But to be honest with you, it's been proven over and over again that some of our allies want to be in a space like this, but just don't know how to. Right?
Yes.
And I'm starting to realize, like I consider brand new Congress, and I consider our revolution allies. If they want to do the work with us, we'll be there for them. But right. I also understand that they don't know how to be in our space, because our space is a completely different thing to them.
Yes.
The issues that we tackle aren't the issues that they grew up fighting for. They're the issues that they might have heard about,
right,
or recently learned about. Where you and I know your lineage and my lineage, we come from people that have been fighting some of these things our whole life. But now we finally have some allies that are willing to actually go about and stand with us. I consider Democracy for America a strong ally of ours.
Right.
So it's not an all Black, all Latino thing. It's just more so we're doing the work that some of these organizations just can't do, and going places where they can't go.
Right. Definitely. Thank you so much for taking some time to talk with me. And I would love to have you back to come on so we can chop it up some more. And spend a little bit more time and do it more extended. Wouldn't you guys love to have a more extended segment with Marcus, so we can pick his brain and do a little post-mortem analysis?
I don't think they want it. I don't think they want it.
They're not ready for the real.
They ain't ready for the real yet.
Thank you guys so much, Marcus Ferrell. Marcus, tell them how they can get in touch with you if they want to reach out.
Marcus for America at Twitter is my Twitter handle. Marcus with number 4 America, and then you can just look at me up on Facebook. Right now, I got the Wu-Tang W up on my Facebook profile picture, and that's a Marcus Ferrell. I'm on Facebook, but make sure you hit me up on Twitter. I am always available, and I'm one of those guys that'll never get too big or I won't holler at you.
All right, thank you, Marcus.